I'm excited to talk about AI, especially a conversation you and I had offline of how different this is from other industrial revolutions, because we mentioned how the printing press, if you think about it, did not have the potential of being left in a room and improving itself on its own. AI today has that potential. So this is really profound because there's almost a logarithmic growth potential in this new world that people need to realize that didn't exist in a lot of the other industrial revolution areas.
That's correct, yes. We are not there yet on the SaaS improvement. I think we still have a couple of years, but we see today the impact that AI has in everyday life. Really, this cycle accelerated this year with the rise to prominence of Gen AI that started in 2022, 2023. But the big difference between today's revolution with the AI and the printing press, and after that, the industrial revolution, the digital revolution as well, is AI doesn't require any hardware,
Mm-hmm.
right? You have a cell phone, you have access to all these models, to all this intelligence at your fingertips. You have this phone, you're able to use it using plain English. You don't need to have a PhD, you don't need to know how to programming. You just talk to your device, right? ChatGPT O for Omni basically is able to understand you when you talk, is able to interpret what it says, and able to talk back to you, give us some guidance, recommendations, answer your questions. So that's really,
Absolutely.
it's available now, today, zero lag. No need to install anything. You have it already.
Yeah, and the printing press was not accessible to everybody even when
Yeah,
it came
yeah,
out. That's such an
yeah.
important point. Well, Dana, would you do a brief introduction and then we'll continue?
Elie is he's a fabulous guy. He's a dynamic product leader with over 10 years of experience driving innovation and growth, particularly in the AI powered solutions area, big data analytics, digital product development. He has increased revenue and user engagement at firms like Disney Interactive and Card Free by integrating advanced AI and machine learning models and creating impactful data-driven platforms. He is committed to generating value and transforming visions into market-leading products for typically large, small, high-growth organizations or mid-sized businesses. Elie has an MBA from the European School of
Mhm.
Management, which in marketing and finance. And by the way, for anyone who doesn't know, they have campuses both in Paris as well as in Oxford, England. And he spent time on both those campuses. It wasn't just remote, right? And then also a master's of engineering from in mechanical engineering from Lausanne Institute of Technology in Switzerland. He spent several years when he first moved to the United States. He spent several years in Silicon Valley, San Francisco Bay Area, Glendale, California, and moved to Cary, North Carolina, where I live. Martin's in Raleigh. Moved to Cary in around 2021. So welcome.
Welcome. Excellent. Let's jump in a little bit more on what you were talking about, how this is different, the AI revolution over other industrial revolutions, because I think that's a good beginning start for people to realize how profound this is. Different than the iPhone going international. This is different than just the internet getting out there. It's a real unique paradigm shift for our culture.
Yeah, that's correct. So in addition to having very small and short adoption cycles, be able to use AI speaking English, what we have today is huge companies like Google, OpenAI, Microsoft, and all the smaller guys like Entrepreneur, for example, are behind it, are putting billions of dollars to be able to gain access to the huge market. And that really pushes the boundaries of AI very, very quickly. So that creates some threats, right? They create some unbalance on the markets, starting, for example, with the employment markets, right? We talk about AI displacing workforce. That is true. But what we have seen in 2023, 2024 is we have seen a lot of workforce replaced by AI. You can see that in the clerical work, for example. You can see that in administration. You can see that in finance. This year in finance, for example, there was a shift with Google letting go their team in finance, not just to move the work, this work in Europe, for example, in India, but also with automation. We are going to see that in the near future as well with anything related to programming and engineering. There are some models today that are able to spin out entire program, intelligent program, just talking real English. I mean, I did that myself. I created my own website, just typing in English, looking that I want to have this color code. I want to have this type of animation. Hey, I have seen this website. That's the URL. Can you replicate something similar? I did that in full English. I didn't have to use any of my past knowledge of programming to do that. So the AI revolution we are living today is going to have a deep societal impact in the way we work, in terms of the specialties we have. Now, another threat that I see with the AI is really the ethical aspect of AI, right? Yeah, when you have a lot of money involved into this ecosystem, these large companies want to gain as much market share as possible. And we have seen earlier this year some prominent figures that leaving these companies, leaving Google, for example, or leaving OpenAI, because they were not aligned with the directions that the company were taking. Like Iliad, for example, is occurred that left OpenAI. He was in the prominent figures with Geoff Hinton, with putting together this new branch of AI with the neural network. He left OpenAI because he didn't agree about the direction of the company and barrier-less development of this model. So that's a second threat we see of AI, in addition to the social impact that AI is going to have or is having today, is really the ethical aspect of AI, which means, are we sure that the model we are putting together, that the intelligence is created, cannot be used for the wrong purpose? And today we don't know. We're going to see the election is coming, right? So we're going to see, first of all, the first negative use of AI very, very soon, unfortunately.
Yeah. And one thing I just say is, with all new technology in humanity, it will be used for good and bad. We need to just assume that, and then assume what's the level of regulation that's needed that doesn't stifle creativity, that doesn't stifle small businesses in the picture. And that's one of my biggest concerns, because as everyone knows, I was born and raised in DC. And if you want something to be destroyed, have them legislate in your favor, and 5 years later, it will have destroyed what they just legislated. Because I don't think we have intelligent life at the level others believe there. So this is where I think that balance of those two is so important, that we understand what's the level we need to monitor this, and what's the level we need to get back and get out of the room. One of the big things I'm sure you followed is the OpenAI community. What an important, not open AI, but open source AI. Excuse me. Yeah. They need to have it closed AI, but the open source AI, I think, is a very important community that is a antidote to the other systems getting too powerful.
And Hugging Face too. I don't know if you must be aware of Hugging Face, right?
Yes.
Which is the community where anybody can post their own model and make it available for free. That's really incredible, right? They are the one that are managing the ranking of the different models in terms of how powerful they are. So that's very, very much encouraging for the individuals. But now the question is, will enterprise company, are they willing to adopt open models, right? This is really like a big question mark. We'll see where it goes. Currently, the judge is out, right? We're not sure yet. I think the one leading the race today on the enterprise world is really Google. They have built a fantastic tools with the Vertex studios and all the engines to facilitate enterprise to adopt AI. Amazon AWS is very close behind, as well as Azure as well.
Can you define for me and maybe some others what you mean by open source AI, what it means to large, small, or mid-sized business?
Right. So open source, the way I would classify it, is a two aspect. The first one is to be able to modify the model with the weights. So all the models we see today, the large language models, it's just math behind the scene. Any words are being translated into mathematic vectors. And then when you go through the different layers of the model, the neural network layers, to make a decision about what direction and what will come out of it, is met with weights, right? So these models have open weight, where you can see what weights were used at a different stage of a decision model, and you're able to adapt them and change them. Another aspect of it as well is to understand how the model works itself. There, I don't have a deep knowledge about this knowledge. This model is above my experience and intelligence. But it's the ability for the people that who knows how they work to take this model, change them, and retrain them to make them theirs.
It's so important for people learning it too in the technical field, because the open source lets us see how those algorithms are built, how it approaches it, and it really spurs creativity. I'm hopeful that the WordPress phenomenon occurs, where WordPress, there used to be blogs that were very expensive to pay for, and WordPress came on the scene with an open source product and pretty much dominated the market. And that's what I'm cheering on for that. And then Audacity in the audio editing world, when I teach podcasting, that is the leading one, and it's an open source free software that just so outperforms the commercial versions for most uses. Most people are using it for recording and editing their shows. So that's what I'm hoping. I'm cheering on the open source, and I'm cheering on the businesses like Facebook that seems to be friendly to this open source. And I think we need to put more pressure on Google and Microsoft to say, what are you doing to support the open source? You want to keep this as active as possible. What are you doing to contribute to it?
Yeah, I think that at some points we're going to be at a level where the model are going to be stable enough and robust enough, so we don't need that much evolution. So these models are going to be the foundational model that anybody is going to be able to build on and customize for their own use case. So we're not there yet, right? You have a lot of foundational models. We see an incremental numbers of the name of the models with Gemini 1.5, 2.0 very soon, GPT-5 very soon as well, with all the polls and all the llama as well evolving in terms of numbers. But it's going to be at some points where how can we make this model more efficient? And there will be no answers, right? So we're going to have all this collection of foundation models in which the company are going to be able to build and add their competence by enriching the models with RAG, for example, or by maybe fine-tuning these models so they fit much more their paradigms.
Elie, tell us about 3 or 4 of your favorite products that you brought to market or services where you integrated AI, and including one of your big blockbusters that you did.
Yeah, and the challenges along with it for people to understand the evolution here.
Yeah, sure. My pleasure. So I have been in AI for quite some time, right? I started in 2005 when I was at Visa. But at the time, it was not about building products. It's about building analysis powered by AI. So it's not something that the user had access to, right? We're leveraging models to be able to show value. Then after that, I went on the world business side where we're leveraging models that were built by data scientists. At that time, I was leading a team that was building the data infrastructure of the gaming side of the Walt Disney team. And we were integrating some AI models to be able to increase the recency, the frequency, and monetization of the users. And this helped the games be more successful. It helped the studios being more on point to improve the products, really to increase the monetization of the platform. But then after that, the first product, really AI commercial product I created was when I was at Fishbowl, where I created this customer data platform. And what this was all about was to be able to give the tools to marketers to optimize their campaigns. So at the core of this product was to be able to provide an insight and tools to the marketer to be able to go towards doing a one-to-one marketing campaigns. So the AI models were able to stitch data points from all the ecosystem, whether it's your purchase habits, whether it's your behavior on the web, whether it's your response to the campaigns, or even demographic and psychographic data. Then they were the marketer able to use these data sets to be able to perform some very targeted campaigns. And this is something that was used by the Amazon of the world. It will be something used by the ad network of Google as well, to be able to do some very thin segmentation of the user base. So they know that they're going to sell to you data, for example, some food for your dog, or for you, Martin, for example, to be able to sell you some food for your cats. Just making this example up, but it's a good idea about the applications. Then after this customer data platform, also I started working on the very product ahead of its time with a marketing assistant. And that was one of my big regrets in my life, because I was not able to take this product to the end, to frictions. So the idea was to be able to help the marketer run more efficiently their campaigns, have a better life in the marketing. At the time, marketers needed to have different hats, one of which was to be able to be a data wrangler, quote unquote, which means that they needed to be able to analyze reports. They needed to be able to prune the data, be able to understand the data, the behavior, to take action. That takes a lot of their time. It not necessarily dig into their strength, which is able to market to the people. So my idea was really to build an automatic assistant that was, first of all, able to automatically and autonomously go through all this sea of data and be able to identify some opportunities. So, for example, it can identify that in the Houston area, there was a drop in the consumptions of iced latte during the week of the June 3rd. Then the consequence after that, the application was, how about if we provide a 5% discount for 5 latte in the Houston area for the 18 to 24, I predict, and that's the AI talking, I predict a lift of 25%. I predict the increase of the ROI of the campaign going towards the 50%. And I predict a successful campaign and in-store and habits. And then the AI goes and asks the marketer, do you want me to build and execute this campaign? So the marketer doesn't have to do anything. The marketer just does their work. They schedule their campaigns. They schedule their agenda in terms of what they're going to execute when. And the AI comes on the side. In the morning, they come to work. They're going to pop up and say, hey, do you want to work? Do you want to run these iced latte campaigns, right? This is why it's valuable, and this is what you're going to go out of it. So that was the idea I had when I was at Fishbowl, and my last year at Fishbowl. And I was able to sell this idea to the board, and I was able to start implementing a proof of concept, which was about being able to have an autonomous agent crawling through the vast space of data to be able to find some directions, be able to find some change in habits and interesting data points to take action on. But I was not able, unfortunately, to put this full program to frictions because the company was going through the change of CEO, which was the fourth thing in 3 years, something like that. And I had another opportunities going for car-free, jumping into the digital world and building digital applications with online ordering, which was very, very popular at the time in 2019, just before COVID hits, in fact. So really this product of AI agent, AI assistants was really like my peak in terms of what I wanted to do with AI, but also my big, big deceptions because I was not able to put this idea to frictions.
Talk about the AI agent, because that's something where a lot of resources are going into, and they're finding out it's a lot more complicated than they planned. I think that's the next generation is getting something that can work on your behalf while you're sleeping.
Yes, exactly. So the agent is going to be an automatic process that is going to be able to execute on a task. And where we see today the explosion of agent is because you're able to have a chain of events where you're going to have multiple agents working together. So you are going to be able to start talking to your computer, to your phone, asking to take a direction or an action. And the computer agent itself is going to take the first step, talking to a different program. It's going to be able to talk to Calendly, for example. It's going to talk to your Gmail. It's going to talk to your SAP application. It's going to talk as well to online ordering application like DoorDash. And it's going to be able to take all these chains of events to organize a catering event, right? You can say, I want to be able to organize receptions at my house this Saturday for 50 people. Please organize something. You talk to your system. The system is going to look at all the previous order you have done, what type of food you like. It's going to be able to schedule an order via DoorDash. It's going to be able to schedule as well some waiters, right? It's going to be able to schedule as well delivering some decorations. It's going to be able to schedule a band, and all this on your behalf. And in the end, it's going to be able to put this big event for yourself with your approval for sure. And so you don't have to do anything. So all these agents, all these assistants are going to work for you. So that's an example for how it's going to be able to help you as a person. But the same works as well for companies, being able to have all this chain of agents, of events, with the agents taking care of all the different minutiae interaction with external programs to be able to go and attain the goal you give to your program.
That's fascinating to me. And, as you're describing this, Elie, it kind of sounds like, if this is an analogy, you guys, but like when the Internet of Things, it kind of encapsulated everything. Is that a fair assessment of what this is similar to? And will it know, like my Alexa, will it tie into my Alexa too, so that my personal AI assistant is tapped into that device as well?
Exactly. I mean, all the devices potentially can be linked together.
If you think about a business use of AI agents,
Yeah.
what is like, and I know this is an evolution, but what would you say is like the first iteration of this in a business where you have all the classical functions, marketing, finance, operations, etc.?
So I can give an example about my thought for the restaurant industry because I'm very much in that domain with my recent past experience. And I think there is the opportunity to improve not just the consumer, the customer experience, but also the staff in the restaurant by automating all these tasks of reordering, for example. You could have a system, an IoT to your point, a system with a vision that is going to capture the inventory and is going to be able to do that consistently during the day. And you can have, for example, running low on Parmesan. The camera is going to capture that. It's going to know as well, the system behind the scene, that tomorrow you are going to sell, 50 pizza, which means that you need to have a certain amount of Parmesan cheese available to be able to fulfill these orders. The agent is going to take over and say, well, I'm going to go to Cisco and put an order on for X amount of mozzarella, or Parmesan, so it's being delivered tonight or tomorrow morning before the store open. When it does that, it's going as well to change your forecast in terms of how much money you're going to have in bank at the end of the month. So you're not going to run out of money you're going to supply. So you have all these chains of events that's going to be from capturing the status of the replenishment on the ingredient, down to the ordering, communication with the external parties, down to the finance side as well to balance your accounts. And this, you won't have to do anything. The operator, the restaurant managers, is not going to have to do that anymore. It's going to be able to focus on serving their guests, their customers in the restaurant.
So supply chain will improve. Customer
Yes.
experience will improve.
Yes.
Potentially profitability if it's well managed, right? Management
Correct.
makes the right decisions about all these things, and all with fewer people, on that payroll.
So you might have less people on the payroll. In my example, it's going to be a shift of attention, right? The staff in the kitchen are going to be able to stay remaining focused on building the food, right? On cooking, on assembling the meal. The restaurant manager is going to be able to focus on the dining room, on serving their staff. They're not going to have to be distracted and being bothered by says, I'm going to have enough mozzarella for tomorrow. No, it's going to be taken care of automatically for them. So they're going to be able to have a shift of attention in my example to be able to focus on the primary task, on the top of mind, what they have to think about on their daily job. So it's going to relieve them from really the weight of having these very minutiae and automation and tasks that is really posing on their minds.
That's really fascinating. And the terms being thrown around, and I know many companies are starting to really address this now. Two terms, upskilling and reskilling. And I think that's what you're talking about is that it's not necessarily mass layoffs. All right.
Mhm.
It's there's going to be some of that, but really a lot of companies that's why they're planning for this is that people are going to have to adjust though. You can't get away with if you did a lot of repetitive type things, production type things, you're going to have to be using your critical thinking skills more and develop that, right? If you don't have them. Is that what you're saying?
Hopefully, yes.
Yeah.
It does apply in my example. But there was a very poignant article last week, in fact, from a journalist that was very spread around LinkedIn and other media, where she was stating that I want AI to take care of my laundry, of my cooking, so I can much more focus on writing and art. And when you see what AI does today, it's totally the contrary, right? AI is doing art, AI is doing writing, and you are left with the cooking and the laundry. So hopefully that could be the direction that we're going to go through, where we're going to have more free time, where you're going to be able to free our mind to focus on what we enjoy, what is really most important for us, whether it's on the personal life or whether it's in a professional life.
So best laid plans, right? Sometimes don't work out.
Yeah. We'll see where it goes. I mean, again, it's still very, very young. We're still thinking about how to best apply the technology. There are going to be some controversies. There are going to be some wins as well, right? It's very early to say where we're going to be in 1 year, in 5 years, and 10 years is useless to try to make some prediction as such a long term.
Well, and tracking some of these changes in the workforce, and Martin and I are always attuned to that. A top SaaS technology officer recently said that 100% of jobs worldwide will ultimately be impacted one way or another by AI.
Mhm.
And, that's a pretty strong statement because we've seen all these studies saying, 40% of jobs will be impacted. And she was quite affirmative about that. And if you think about like the products you've worked on and you think about all the gadgets we have and the AI we've used, such as just chat, many of us use it every single day now. But, you think about those things and I can believe that 100% of jobs are going to ultimately be impacted by AI. Did you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, even today, just the fact that you are going to use ChatGPT to rephrase your email means that you are impacted by AI. Granted, it can seem that very, very small, but it still does impact you. Um, it comes for sure at different degree of impact, right? You have both extremes. I think that the majority, the AI, which is much more an assistant, much more as a help for brainstorming, a help for writing, a help as well to be able to just make some presentation illustrations or solve some math problems rather than really replacing you.
One of the things I heard recently is that there's potentially an explosion of AI influencers as a revenue generator. That's
Yeah,
really interesting. And
yeah.
I just did a podcast on the book Future Shock, which was I'm old enough, that was many years ago. And I really believe that some of the advantage that smaller businesses have is getting out front now and humanizing and personalizing while this stuff is perfecting,
Mhm.
because they'll cut through the noise. And many are trying to hide behind that, the tech they can get. And I teach that's the kiss of death. Use those for ideas, use those to enhance your ability, and then get your humans in there, because that's an important quality. And I don't know if you ever heard of a album called Switched on Bach. Are you old enough to know that? That was one of the first synthesizers. And why I'm bringing that up is it was done by a performer named Wendy Carlos. And it was
Okay.
the early analog synthesizers. And when you studied her, she did a whole presentation on it. What she learned is with the analog synthesizers, they were fatiguing if you didn't include the timbre and the impurities of natural instruments. And
Exactly.
I wonder if that's not going to occur in the environment, if and give an advantage to small businesses that are willing to get out there. They're
Yeah.
willing to realize it. And one thing I tell them, I says, do you notice that the companies that have more money than you can imagine are not just throwing AI out there willy-nilly, you know, in
Yeah.
the face for the consumer? I think there'll be a quality, and I'm sure you know of the uncanny valley. You know, it's going to take a while where we're not a little bit creeped out by
Yeah.
this, and people don't like to be lied to. So, you know, it's just like I'm contracting. Dr. Justin Rose is working on a tool for one of our products so that you can interact with it. But I want to be clear, it's a bot. I don't want to act like it's me, you know, and I think that's the important aspect. So kind of that human, that connection to human, uncanny valley, anything on that you want to comment on? Love to hear your views.
Yeah, two thoughts. First of one, you absolutely point on, right? What makes us human is imperfection. So if we hear perfect world all the time, we don't relate to it. So in the end, it doesn't work. So that's the first thing. And we have seen that, in fact, in the one of the very interesting development of GPT-O is really the intonations that the voice has and the hesitation. I think that's very interesting because it really helps us more relate to this tool. So that's the first thing, right? Imperfections makes us human, and we need that. And the second thing as well, to go towards where your first point, which is a lot of fake media is going to be created. We see that more and more. And the funny thing is AI is going as well to drink and eat from it, right? It's going to feed the model back. And that's going to have a negative consequences. And we see that today, in fact. So I have an old Kindle where I have ads on it. And I see fake ad for fake books. It's like it's mind-boggling that Amazon let that go through, right? I see some covers with spelling mistakes. I see some names that are like, that's what's created in 2 minutes by AI. It needs, we need to have a system in place, and I think they're working on that to detect and flag these things. I believe that Google is working on algorithm that is going to flag the fake images and is going to flag as well content generated by AI. I'm not saying that we don't need this content. We need to be aware that it's not human generated. It depends what we are looking for, right? Are we looking for perfection? Are we looking for a nice story? Are we looking really from facts? And there to be able to flag, make a distinction between human and non-human generated content is going to be very, very important.
Yeah, Instagram right now, I posted something was AI generated, and it flagged it as this is AI generated. Now, I didn't misrepresent, I
Yeah.
stated in the text, but
Perfect.
I think they've just rolled out something where you can mark it is. I know on YouTube it says it has a verbiage. I made a video on a while ago. Is this generated or not? And when we published our books within less than a year, it asked how much of this was generated by AI. And in my one of our books, we used it as a base for inspiration, and then it was edited in. But I said we better make sure we're honest about this, because when they build these systems, if they can prove you lied on it, to me that would be the penalty to cut that author. So we're already seeing that right now, and I'm seeing that's through Meta, that's on publishing a book on Amazon. YouTube's talked about it to market, and they have. If you look and you upload a YouTube video, there's a little thing you can check now that to me implies, yeah, this was AI generated. It doesn't say that it was like automatically, or I forgot the verbiage. I have a video on it. And I think this is important because we are hungry for what's actually going on. And you talked about it. We've got multiple fronts right now. We have an election front, we have wars going on, and we have a level of deep fakes that we've never had in history before. So there'll be people making deep fakes, and then there'll be people claiming real stuff is deep fakes as a way to try to what do they call gaslight the public that, oh, well, that's all deep fakes. No, it's not. There are a few, but it's not. And we're going to see all of that. So again, it gets back to what we teach is the more you can learn this, the better you can catch it. And as I learn more, I'm better at identifying it. The more you stay ignorant on it, the worse for your career and life and other things of being fooled by it and manipulated by it.
Yeah, that's a very encouraging development. I didn't know that Meta was doing that. That is really fantastic, especially as it's one of the top medium in terms of digital consumption. TikTok, I don't know if they're doing that, would be great. Although how long TikTok will stay around, but in the US. But yeah, that's a great development.
Excellent.
I have you mentioned the book Future
Yeah.
And we have a lot of discussion about this technology, the impact on humans, and you may want to summarize the book. What I remember about the book is that it had to do with, like, correct me if I'm wrong, technology advancing so fast that people really can't handle it.
Well, there's several things. Technology advancing so fast they can't handle it. And as technology goes up, our need for human interaction, real authentic interaction, will go up also. And that's my memory of reviewing it for the podcast, that starve for real connection will go up along with this technology overwhelming. And we've been in overwhelm as a species for a good 15 years right now. I years ago, I guess 10 years ago in the social media management, we'd say it's like being in a world where you have an island changing its terrain all the time with earthquakes, and you need to keep your stability. And that was 10 years ago. It's far worse than that now. So I think we're hitting a real wall of the human machine being is not able to adapt and evolve fast enough for the rate of technology. And I think if we work with that, especially the smaller guys, they can leverage that by bringing that human quality and connection, which is their competitive advantage. But so many still want to hide behind, a brand, or, oh, I can make these quick little things and then it's quicker and I don't have to put myself out maybe showing how great I am working with the dog. Well, you're killing your advantage then, in my view.
Yeah, that would be great. I mean, if we can go back and scale back or attention deficit created by all the medium and the amplification that is happening with AI would be fantastic. I mean, right now the society is a bit sick. There's a lot of fringe of loneliness where people are getting more and more isolated. Hopefully AI is not going to increase too much this trend. And at some point, our social animal self will want to come back out and, to your point, be able to socialize more and meet people in person. Yeah, it'll be fantastic.
And I think that's one of the competitive advantage we have as humans. Develop those interpersonal skills, develop your speaking skills, develop your ability to handle conflict, develop your ability to be criticized and not wilt and go away. That's a competitive advantage that we still have as a human being that you want to lean into because that'll put you ahead of someone else. Okay, I now know something about AI and I'm not so sensitive that I wilt if somebody looks at me wrong. Now I think I have two legs of a tremendous competitive advantage in the business field.
Yeah. And the social aspect of human being is the reason why we are where we are today. It's this collaborative work. if 1 + 1 = 3. It's the exchange of information that we have that make us progress much faster than other species. So let's not destroy that and also create conflict by just staying French in all corner of the room.
Everyone's name dropping AGI, AGI. It'll be around the corner. Oh my gosh, I'm convinced it here. And I think we need to educate people on this is a little more than you realize. And if we really do get to it, we might be a little more concerned.
And AGI is?
Oh yeah. I'll let our guest explain it.
So it's artificial general intelligence. So this term was coined by the fact that today's models are very good at one thing, right? And they're not self-learning. The AGI is really the hiding in the clouds that says that I want to create a model that is going to be learning from himself and be able to have different skill sets across different capacities in industry. So there's a lot of talk, especially like when we saw the explosion GPT-4 and 3, that we are there. It's going to happen in 6 months. And people were scared that it's going to take over the world. So on the plus side, it seems, and there are different luminaries, like, for example, Jan Klum from Meta, or Geoff Hinton as well, who used to, he's one, in fact, of the creator, or at least one of the person that put the neural network up there in 2012 or 13. Both of them agree that we are not yet on the right path. So we are safe, right? But we don't know for how long. But there will be a time where we are going to really interact with a robot, with a computer, with a device that is going to be able to perform multiple tasks at the same time without having necessarily to learn from them, to learn the task they're going to, from a human. They're going to be able to autonomously be able to act on it. So now there is another term that I heard for the last few months, which is super intelligence, right? And this, I don't really, to be honest with you, I don't really understand why we need to have the super intelligence term. It might be a marketing thing, but it is about having a super intelligence that is going to be able to go beyond human intelligence. I don't think it's necessary because AGI will be there, right? When you see even today as a model that perform one specific task, they are better than a human. They can calculate much faster than we do. They're able to look at and be able to put a book together much faster than we do, right? So today already these models are more intelligent than us. I mean, quote unquote intelligence, this type of intelligence. So I'm not sure that the super intelligence term really makes sense, at least for me now, from my understanding. Maybe I'm wrong. It's possible I'm wrong, but that's my take. I don't know if you have another take, Martina, or.
I was just thinking of it. It's kind of like when AGI occurs, it'll be like, John, look at what the printing press became overnight. Oh my gosh.
I'm curious about what you dream about in terms of developing the next great thing. And I'll just preface it by saying my dad was an inventor, and you remind me of my dad. You know, he invented products, and he had 27 patents to his name. Many of them actually worked and made money. And Martin met my dad several years ago, but he's now passed. But he was always dreaming up a new thing. Is there anything on your mind, like Elie's, like, you know, formula, or Elie's that you'd love to pull off in your next venture?
I don't have per se one specific dream product that I want to release. Really, as a product manager, what I live, breathe, and dream about is about solving the pains of the human, making the human more productive without, on the other side, putting them down. Granted, we love the work we are doing. Granted that some of them at least are lucky to be able to love the work we are doing. There are things that are more important in life, which is, I'm going to take it to the philosophic state now a little bit, is really to find joy and happiness, right? So if I can create any product that is going to get you closer to having this state of joy and happiness, then I will be happy. This is what I'm
Well, that's a
dreaming.
wonderful purpose.
Yes. And how can they learn more about you? We'll put your LinkedIn profile in the text below. This was just a lot of fun to talk to you. And it was great to meet you the other day as well at an AI talk that we went to. And excited to hear about your progress and how you keep helping making products serve the customer more. And of course, the balance of profitability along with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much, Martin, for the invite. Thank you, Dana, for the opportunity. I really appreciate it. Was a friend talk.
You're very welcome.
This was great. Excellent.